Welcome back to the channel. It's Johnny speaking, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about how to actually start testing video ads on a budget. A lot of people have been telling me, hey look Johnny, I hear what you're saying, and we know that video ads can be a very effective way of marketing our business, getting more sales or getting more inquiries for our business and ultimately allowing our business to grow further. However, how can I do this on a budget? Videos, they're quite expensive to produce, and say if you're an e-commerce brand, for example, once you start getting things like paid actors, influencers, content creators into the mix, the costs can start racking up. So here's a potential way of actually testing video ads when you're on a slightly more tight budget. And I'm just going to jump straight into my screen over here. So if I jump on over here, show you what I've got here, excuse the very simple designs, but hopefully it conveys the message properly. What we have here is a system that provides more confidence that video ads are going to convert. What you don't want to do is basically come into a situation where you are just testing a bunch of different video ads and you've paid a lot of money for them, right? So what you want to do is test concepts first cheaply. The most primary factor that is going to determine whether or not your video ads are going to convert is your script, right? It's not the level of fancy animations, it's not how great the graphics look. Platforms like TikTok, for example, have shown that users and people in general are gravitating more towards ads that look more organic and authentic to the platform rather than something that's really high production anyway. And that works really well, especially if you are a new company trying to start out, get new inquiries, get new sales, and you're on a bit of a budget. So what you want to do first of all is maybe use a platform such as Facebook, for example, to start testing initial concepts, right? So what you want to do is you want to start brainstorming different angles. Angles are really key, and you want to have, first of all, obviously you want to do some research, and I have a separate video on how to actually start scripting video ads actually convert. But for the time being, you want to start with just basic concepts, right? So, for example, if you're trying to sell, I don't know, say a skincare product, right? Your target audience, maybe they're middle-aged, maybe they're a younger audience, whatever their demographic is, they may resonate more with the notion of maybe having more youthful skin if they're older, or maybe they care more about how their colleagues see them. Maybe it's just about being just feeling healthier overall and taking care of themselves, and it's a self-care ritual. It's not so much about the product, it's about the experience of using the product, right? So you want to test out these different sort of angles, right? And what you want to do is, come up with different concepts and then test them out separately, right? Now, if you're using a platform like Facebook or Instagram, you can do this very cheaply with images. Now, let's say you're on TikTok or you're on Snapchat, right? These platforms, let's face it, they're not going to do so well on just images alone, right? So what you can do is you can start testing these concepts with very cheaply made videos that you make by yourself, right? And if you're a founder, then you can do this yourself. Or you can get friends and family to do this, and you can just edit initial basic concepts out first. And these videos can be 10 to 15 seconds long. Don't bring in paid actors in just yet, right? Start with, testing one concept and then giving that a couple of different tries, right? So try testing different hooks, but always keeping the same concept, right? So if it's about more youthful looking skin, then you might take a TikTok trend that's, I don't know, like a POV, for example, or maybe a trending sound, layer that on top of a big benefit hook or something like that. I have an entire video on how to script video ads actually convert. Test the concept out first, right? Do not commit straight away to something that is going to involve an influencer or is going to require really heavy editing, and then just run them in a conversion campaign or even even a click campaign, right? The goal here is not to really generate purchases straight away. The goal here is to validate which one of these angles are working best, which one of these makes people click on first, right? So let's say this angle here, we'll call this, I don't know, we'll give this a name. We'll just say, call it angle one. Let's say angle one. Youthful. Let's say that angle works out really well. You've tested this a bunch of different times, and with all those tests, you have noticed that the click-through rate is a bit better, right? So you're not really necessarily seeing, which one converts the best, because these are just concepts. Now, let's say this one works really well, this one doesn't work really well, and this angle doesn't really work really well. What you can then do is discard the angle that didn't work quite well. You've tested it enough times, you've given it enough chances to actually prove itself. It hasn't really performed that well. You can now take the concept that worked really well and then convert them to a slightly higher production video ad, right? At this point, you can start getting influencers, you can start getting slightly higher production videographers, video editors. You can start putting more value behind it because now you have some verification that it actually worked in advance, right? And this way you don't just end up spending a lot on, say, these video ads straight away, right? Because normally what you might have done is you might have come in and you might have just spent a lot of money on this one, on this one, on this one, this one, and this one here, right? Now you don't have to spend anything on these two, right? So this is this completely taken out of the picture because in advance that you've tested it cheaply here. There's no point in pursuing this angle further. And, let's say, of these, you produce maybe 2 videos, right? Of these, maybe one does really well. You then want to start forking out and start thinking about how to actually make that better. Hopefully you found this concept useful. It's something that is quite simple in principle, but I honestly don't see it being executed nearly well enough. And I feel like it stops people, especially in the e-commerce or tech SaaS companies space. I feel like it stops a lot of people from testing video, and there's no real need for that because you can do video testing on a really good budget and that works really well. Another thing that you can do, for example, is you don't even have to go in and get paid actives, right? You can literally just take some of these images and then turn them into GIFs, right? You can take an image and you convert it into a GIF, just add some motion. It's very simple to do, very cheap to do. But the only way to know, which concepts are going to work out in the long run is to actually just test these, right? So it is possible, for example, that, of the images that you test this angle, none of the videos here work, but it's sure as hell more safe to go down this route than to say, just throw spaghetti at the wall and test a bunch of videos just for the sake of it. So hope you found that useful, and thanks so much for watching.